5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For all your entertainment needs, we are Entertainment Central.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Central, the show all about entertainment in and around Canterbury. I'm Billy Ray.
And I'm Molly.
And we've got a lot of subjects coming up on today's show, haven't we, Molly?
Yeah, we've got all sorts. We'll be finding out about local music, events and musicians. We'll be exploring the art of comedy and the comedy scene in Canterbury. We'll be having interviews, giving an insight on what's going on at the local Marlow Theatre.
Yep. This will lead on to talking about the Drama Society here at Christchurch University. Well, we'll also be having an interview with the president of the Drama Society, MJ Warren, and then we'll be talking about the Curzon Cinema.
Yeah, Curzon.
So, do you want to tell us about the first feature, Moles?
First up, we'll be talking to the lecturer of CCCU Canterbury, Matt Wright. He does composition of sonic art and music, and it'll be about Outside, which is an installation and performance of 3 musicians based on a concept by a Vietnamese lady. So that'll be really interesting. Hope you enjoy it.
Okay, let's give that a listen then.
I'm a composer and what people call a sound artist, so kind of meaning that you work with sound in a visual context as well. And I'm involved in the project really from the sound perspective. It's a piece that was originally designed by Tan Thuy, who's one of our Vietnamese musicians, and she came up with the idea of this piece which explores the way in which Vietnamese music has been changed by TV in Vietnam.
The performance was amazing on many levels, and it's fantastic for us to have these performers come to Canterbury to perform live for us, but also to have this installation in a contemporary art gallery. To have music come in is a very special event.
I thought it was really quite something, both orally and visually, and I thought that worked very well. It was actually quite moving. The music and the people seemed to me to be working out, or the musicians working out a tragedy. I couldn't help but think, well, they're second generation from the Vietnamese War. I even heard bombs dropping there, and I think the whole thing held together as an interactive piece.
History of things, in the early 1900s, the Vietnamese folk music was played almost exclusively by men, and in people's homes and in clubs, and so it was kind of part of the culture. The whole piece is around inside, outside, this kind of gender issue around Vietnamese folk music.
Welcome back, and that was all about music. And coming up next, we have an interview with Rudy Woolman and the Heavy Weather, some buskers that we managed to find on our travels in Canterbury, and they're going to tell us a bit about buskers and busking and what it's like to be a busker and to get your music out there. So should be interesting. Here you go.
We are Rudy Woolman and the Heavy Weather. We're from Folkestone, and we go busking around anywhere we can get by. So we've been to Switzerland, and sort of Basel in Switzerland was lovely. Went busking there. We've been around a little bit, but we're just starting out, so it's getting there. But we aim to go to more places and share our music with everybody. Some people say it's the vintage sound of Southern England. So we like the 60s. So like bands like Free, like that kind of era. So we're not really into the whole sort of Radio 1, you know. So it's a bit strange. We write whatever we feel like writing. So we're not in a box. We don't try to be in a box. We just try and make music we like, and that can be anything. We've played in a few pubs in Canterbury, and you know, I don't know. We're not really playing anywhere soon, but now it's winter. It gets a bit cold, and pubs and all the places that you would like to play get very quiet, so they don't hire anyone. So it gets a bit like busking now because it's cold. You have to. It's a lot more rare. You can find us on YouTube, Rudy Warman, search Rudy Warman in the Heavy Weather. You can find us on Bandcamp, www.rudywarman.bandcamp.com. There's 3 EPs, 5 tracks on each, and you can listen to them for free, and if you like them, you can download them for £5.
Your local guide to entertainment in Canterbury. We are Entertainment Central.
And that was Rudy Woman and the Heavy Weather. It was quite nice of it was quite nice of them to let us interview them. Interesting to find out about what it is that a busker does and about their music and things like that. And yeah, as they said, you can find some of their music online, and well, if you like it enough, you can download it for £5. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And also, you can pop down to the Penny Theatre and go and listen to the live music there.
Yeah, there's live music all around Canterbury. There's always music going on. There's the Penny Theatre, the Marlow Theatre, other venues all around the place and stuff like that.
Also, there is a event going on in the SU, which is on the 5th of December from 7:30 p.m. to 9, and you can join the gospel choir for an evening of songs and readings to start the journey to Christmas. That is a free event also, so you don't have to worry about paying. But
That's quite different, not your regular music scene.
yeah, so if you're not into things like Rudy Warman, then you can go to that.
All right, sweet. So what have we got coming up next, Molly?
Up next, we have a talk about comedy in Canterbury.
So we're going to be talking about stand-up comedy. We've got an interview with Andy Butler, who is at the at the university. So let's give that a listen.
Stand-up comedy. 3 words that remind you of your favourite comedian. Canterbury has a vibrant stand-up scene, so I turned to an amateur comedian, Regan Mott, to try and get an understanding of what intrigues him to perform.
What is the satisfaction? It sounds kind of weird, but just I don't know, making people laugh. Like with where I grew up in my family, and that was just more kind of if you're not funny, then you're either into sport. It's basically either make people laugh or you're into sport, and I'm not into sport.
Okay, so it's all good here, right? So it's not, yeah, so I mean, at work it's been all right recently, and then as soon as you get here, it goes, you have some, uh-oh, what's this? Oh no, oh my God,
The satisfaction of performing live, I suppose it's just kind of hearing the audience. I mean, when you tell a joke with like, your group of mates or something, some people laugh and you feel kind of good, but I suppose when you're doing it, when you're up there on the stage, well, I do it where I go, you can't see anything. All you can see is literally the mic and the stand and everything like that. I don't know, yeah, I just suppose the making people laugh is the satisfaction, really, just making that one person happy for that one moment.
I wanted to investigate a little bit more in regards to comedy, so I turned to Andrew Butler, a lecturer from Canterbury Christchurch University, to explore why there is a pleasure within comedy.
There's kind of a fun in talking about comedy in a really serious way, but actually you might be kidding the people you're talking to, that you're actually being ironic in your analysis to see where things are going. So I kind of like the play of am I being serious or not serious, of simply because something is entertainment and throwaway and lightweight doesn't mean it's not also saying really interesting things about society. I went to see Shaun last night, talking about all kinds of things relating to politics and his own life and the world. And that was all wrapped up in jokes and comedy, and enables him to say things that he wouldn't be able to say if he was simply on Question Time or on the news or some current affairs program. And it's the same in comedy as it is in science fiction, horror and fantasy. It gives you permission to say things from a slightly different angle from serious mainstream culture. It enables you to say things sort of through allegory, sort of through metaphor, but it becomes a workout for the mind. I mean, what I'm always struck by is how intelligent comedians are, how fast their minds are. And that's something I also find as I struggle to get my own mind to work. I'm always fascinated by seeing people who are able to think on their feet and adapt to the situation.
If you're interested in seeing live comedy, the Marlow Theatre or the Gulbenkian are the best venues to see the stand-up comedians.
Welcome back, and that was all about live stand-up comedy in Canterbury. Had an interview there with Andy Butler, who is a lecturer here at the university. For those of you who don't know him, he's a pretty funny guy.
Also, if you fancy going to any local comedy events around Canterbury, you can go to the Gulbenkian at the University of Kent with Ed Byrne outside. Coming in January. Tickets on sale are now £19, but you must be 16 or over for the event.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Also, you can go to the SU because they frequently have a comedy night that you can go to. So, if you're up for being
and then
funny.
There's also the Marlow Theatre that regularly do comedy shows, and they have people like Jimmy Carr and Alan Carr that perform there as well. They always have something every month, something new comedians and things like that. Sometimes lesser well-known comedians who are pretty much just as funny. So it's always pretty interesting to see what they've got on at the Marlow Theatre in terms of comedy as well.
Up next we have Marlow Theatre and about the Marlow Theatre.
Yeah, and their new place, Snow White. Let's give that a listen.
I'm Paul Ainsworth. I'm the Learning and Participation Officer at the Marlow Theatre. Part of my job is looking after the Marlow Senior Company and Marlow Apprentice Company and running those sessions. So that's two sessions, one that's 12 to 15 and one that's 16 up to 21. For a lot of the members, it's about confidence building and being able to speak in front of people, being able to work in groups as well and learning from each other, and also just being able to have a kind of social exercise as well as a kind of understanding and gaining new skills in theatre and theatre makings.
My name is Sarah Monday and I am press officer here at the Marlow Theatre. So as well as all the press publicity work I do for shows, I look after the internal communications for the theatre. We won the award for the most welcoming theatre in the South East. We beat lots of other theatres by a huge majority apparently. So there was us and 10 other venues that won their regional titles, including one in the West End. Jersey Boys. I saw it in the West End a few years ago and I really enjoyed it, but seeing it here was just amazing. I liked the music, but it was a really interesting storyline and it was just a fantastic show. It was just so sleek and just brilliant.
I was part of a youth theatre when I was younger, and then I found that was my passion and that was something that I really enjoyed. I also made a huge amount of friends and have quite a strong circle of friends still from that group of people that I joined with. Having that and then understanding that maybe you find your passion out of that and go on to have a career in the arts. You find these elements from those groups of what you enjoy and what you want to do, and it's not necessarily a training school for people to go into becoming actors, but just allowing them to express themselves and be individual and just be able to be creative.
We are coming up to our very busiest time of year because we open on the 27th of November and run through until mid-January. I think it's about 88, 89 performances. It's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's our biggest thing. Obviously, we don't have anything else that offers so many performances. And last year, for example, and the year before, we had about 90,000 people in. So it's a biggie for us.
First thing is, if people are interested in joining, that they should get their name on that waiting list, and they can do that through our box office or in person at the Marlow as well. It's £64 per term, and that includes a theatre trip. We understand that actually one of the most important things about being part of making theatre is seeing theatre and understanding that you get better by the more that you see.
Our ambition is to do more producing ourselves, so we co-produce the pantomime. Last year we produced our own show for the first time in the studio, which was a show called Beached, and that transferred to Soho Theatre in London. And this year it opens on 1st of December. It's the show called A Better Woman.
You're listening to CSR Radio.
CSR Radio.
On 97.4 FM.
And that was all about the Marlow Theatre, where they've got their brand new show Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs coming up, which is featuring Roxy from EastEnders, funny enough. So she's taken a move from TV to theatre. So it should be interesting to see how that goes. It looks like it's going to turn out to be quite a good show.
Yeah, they have lots of other Christmassy shows coming up in December and January, which are The Nutcracker, which is Dickens at Christmas. And Dickens at Christmas. So, sorry about that. But yeah, that'll be good. But if you're not feeling up for pantomimes or anything, there's also the different types of things like Darren Brown, and he'll be there on Monday the 8th of January to Saturday the 13th of February, so that's quite a long time if you need to go and see him.
Yeah, it's pretty good theatre. I think I'd recommend it. It's quite a big theatre as well. There's a lot of legroom and updated chairs. It's very modernised because it used to be a cinema, so they've got the big orchestral music bit as well.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
Also, they have the chance for students to get a discount on their tickets, so they can pay as little as £9, but there's a limited amount of tickets. So if you are interested, you can find out more at marlowtheatre.com/discovery.
Interesting. So that's everything that's coming up at the Marlow Theatre then. So there's always things to look forward to in terms of comedy or music or pantomimes, especially this time of year. So what have we got coming up now then, Molly?
Up next we have the drama. We have the feature on the Drama Society at the Canterbury Christchurch University.
Oh yeah, Drama Society, and they've got their upcoming play, The Mousetrap. So let's give that a listen.
I am performing in the play The Mousetrap, which the Drama Society are putting on this year, and I am playing the character of Miss Casewell. It's an Agatha Christie, so it's a crime thriller. It's a bit of a twist at the end, which is nice, and the audience are generally asked if they could not reveal the whodunit at the end.
I gather our hostess had to cook the lunch. All very haphazard now, Trish. There should be a proper stuff.
Not very easy to get nowadays, though, is it?
No.
We've got something quite interesting about the set that we've chosen, is that there's a lot of exits, and that really adds to the comedy this year. Lots of people running on and off, which is really difficult to rehearse, but it will be funny when you watch it. And as well, we've got an idea for a fireplace that will go across the front of the stage, which will give you a really sort of eerie effect of the manor.
Oh, sorry. You may... That's quite all right. You may have known her under the name of Lion. Lion wasn't her real name.
What we do at the start of each term, the cabinet choose a couple of different plays. So this time around we had a choice of the 39 Steps, the Mousetrap, One Man, Two Governors. But it was so we then go along to the cabinet and say, this is what we've got, and this is what each one is about quickly, and then they get a vote. And we've done it before that. We've also been like, we could do a showcase, so everybody else kind of brings it along.
But frankly, yes, that's the idea. But why? That's what I'm here to find out. But the whole thing's crazy. Yes, sir. It's because it's crazy that it's dangerous.
Nonsense! I must say, it's a bit far-fetched.
even if acting's not your thing, there's all kind of backstage stuff, helping make costumes, the sets, helping with the tech and lighting and all that sort of stuff.
Front hall. Aren't there any backstairs?
Oh yes, nice backstairs. Very convenient if there was a fire.
Then why not use them? And all the housework should have been done in the morning before lunch.
The costumes are quite individual to each character, and there's lighting changes, especially at a point where the plot changes. It's a lot about how the actor uses the set, because there's the same set for the whole play, but obviously each character's going to interact with it differently.
Coming to that, madam, a notebook was picked up near the scene of the crime. In that notebook was written 2 addresses. One was 24 Golden Street, the other was Maxwell Manor.
It will be in Anselm Hall, and it will be on the 4th of December and the 30th of November.
Welcome back. So that was our feature on Canterbury Christchurch's Drama Society and their upcoming play, The Mousetrap. And joining us in the studio now is the president of the Drama Society, MJ Warren. Hi, MJ.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
So, firstly, can you tell us about your job role in the Drama Society?
Well, I'm the president of the society, which basically means I oversee pretty much everything, like some giant overlord of the whole society. But so while I do bits and bobs of everything, my main role is to make sure that the society is running effectively, like liaise with everybody in the SU. Like my main job really is to talk to the SU and tell them what we need, and they can provide it for us.
So, as a student-run society, how do you appeal some of your plays towards students? Like The Mousetrap, for example, is quite a classic Agatha Christie, maybe normally aimed towards an older audience.
Well, I did think when our Vice President Luke suggested it that it might be a bit of a stretch initially, but then we started reading it, and it's actually like some of the humour in it is quite modern. Like it's a very, very old play and a very well-known play. It's the longest running play in the West End at the moment. Still there now, actually. But there's a lot in it that's kind of like can be construed as like slightly cheeky humour and like a lot of on-off entrances that are kind of wacky. And for like a murder mystery, it's actually pretty funny. So we have a way of sort of modernising our plays anyways, as we've always done. Like with we had Streetcar Named Desire last term, which is set in like about the same time actually, but in a different country obviously, and we did change that around a bit so it appealed. So I think it would appeal to everyone actually.
Oh, cool. So whereabouts does the money go to? Like, does it go towards a drama society or towards a charity? Or
we don't put on shows for profit. Every show we've ever done goes to a charity, and the charity we picked this term is the Kent Association for the Blind. We usually pick a local charity. Like the previous play we did, Streetcar Named Desire, the profits went to a women's shelter in Canterbury. So it's a really good opportunity. We usually raise at least about £100 for the chosen charity.
Well, that's really good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, so last question is, what can we look forward to from the Drama Society in the future? Have you got any upcoming projects to tell us about?
Well, what I'd like to do next term is like it depends how the members and everyone else who is involved votes on it, because we have a sort of system where we give them ideas that we can definitely do, and then we all discuss them as a group and they vote, and we pick the one that gets the most votes. But what I'd like to do is like a showcase kind of thing, and whether it just be just us as the Drama Society, or I've considered the possibility of trying to get together with like the Music Society, with the with the Musical Theatre Societies and all the other performing societies. It's something that I've discussed with the Music Society President, Rob, before, but it's not something that we've practically put into effect yet, but I would like it to happen. So look out for that in March, end of March time next year, before the Easter holidays.
Okay, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show. It's been really insightful.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that was MJ Warren from the Drama Society, everyone. And if you are interested in seeing The Mousetrap, you can buy tickets at the door. It's going on a few different times a week, and it's turned out, it sounds like it's going to be quite an interesting show.
Yeah, I agree. It does look really interesting. Up next we have a feature about cinema in Canterbury, and we'll be focusing on the Curzon Cinema, and we'll be featuring an interview with Andrew Butler, which is a what's he called?
You mean Eddie McMillan, right? Not Andrew Butler.
Oh, sorry, I meant Eddie McMillan. I apologise for that.
Yeah, that's coming up. I haven't actually been to the Curzon Cinema, but I do hear it's a pretty cool indie sort of alternative film place, kind of art housey, so to speak. You can even drink there, apparently.
Oh dear.
So we've got that coming up. So let's give that a listen. Here it is.
Out of all entertainment venues in any city, one of the most popular wherever you are is the cinema. The Curzon in Canterbury is an independent cinema that attracts movie fans from all over. Although it's a relatively new venue, the Curzon has already established itself in a big way. Okay, so I'm here in the Curzon Cinema. I'm sitting here with Katie, the general manager. The Curzon is a very popular independent cinema. What makes it different from, say, an Odeon?
I think people expect from Curzon a really quality cinema experience, which runs through everything from the programming through to the facilities. It's just basically about a different level of experience from what a cinema goer might be used to.
Obviously, you've had some very interesting guests here introducing their films and directors. Who are some of the people you've had recently?
We had a really nice Q&A last week. It's actually a cricket documentary which won some awards on the festival circuit called Death of a Gentleman, and the director, Sam Collins, who's also a sports journalist, came down and did a really interesting Q&A following his film.
What are some of the most popular films that are playing at the moment?
The real kind of quality, often British product does very well here. Things like Macbeth recently. So previously in the last year, The Imitation Game, The Theory of Everything. That's great for us because it means that we get to show this type of cinema to a new audience.
What do you think has made the Curzon such a popular entertainment venue in Canterbury?
I think it's a range of things in Canterbury. I think it's obviously the student population, some really strong arts degrees at both Christchurch and Ken. We also have a huge amount of kind of culture attractions on offer, the Canterbury Festival, the Gulbenkian. There's loads of great culture stuff going on, and it's nice that Curzon's now part of all of that.
Clearly, in the brief time it's been around, the Curzon has made a good impact in Canterbury and attracted many people. But is it really as good as they say? I spoke to Eddie, one of the senior film lecturers, to see what he thought.
Okay, I think what makes the Curzon stand out as a great art house cinema is the choice of films that they screen, which gives you an alternative to, I guess, what's happening at the Odeon or other cinemas. The Gulbenkian even shows a lot of mainstream stuff these days, so the Curzon gives you that good art house experience. It's also more than a cinema. You know, it's a meeting place. You can have a coffee there, you can have a glass of wine, talk to your friends, discuss art and cinema.
Curzon's popularity in Canterbury shows that there is a real audience here for art house cinemas, and the Curzon is just one example of the diverse entertainment available in Canterbury. Finding you the best entertainment in Canterbury. Entertainment Central.
And welcome back. So that was all about the Curzon Cinema. So if you're a big film lover like me out there, but if you want more of a sort of indie alternative kind of experience, then yeah, the Curzon Cinema is probably the kind of cinema for you. They have a few different kinds of films that you might not find at places like the Odeon. They've got films such as Carol, Bridge of Spies, Lady in the Van, but that shouldn't push you away because they do also show some pretty big blockbustery films like Spectre, Mockingjay, and obviously because of the time of year they're playing It's a Wonderful Life because every Christmas it's going to be somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, but still, if you fancy just going to your usual ordinary cinema, you can still go to the Odeon, which is in Canterbury as well, and they're just showing Spectre and the Hunger Games Part 2, so... But you have to pre-book for Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is being released on the 17th of September. So go ahead.
What do? Go to the cinema sometimes, go to the Curzon, go up to the Gulbenkian at the University of Kent. I have been known to go to the pub, and once in a while I go to a restaurant.
I go to theatre, or to the cinema, or to classical music concerts.
I do enjoy playing video games. When I'm not playing video games, I do enjoy going to the Penny Theatre, the student club, down, I think, Starry Road. It's a really chill, really nice area, really nice place.
So I pretty much just go out clubbing. Pretty much either we're going out, or either Club Chemistry or Cuban. If not, probably just hit the cinema, or just generally go and have a bite to eat, like Nando's or something like that.
I watch a lot on Netflix. I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine
and Once Upon a Time lately. Getting really into them.
Mainly spend it on my laptop looking at Warhammer.
I spend a lot of my time with my friends in Costa during the week.
Just go out, spend a lot of time in like pubs and stuff, clubs, shopping, HMV especially.
Okay, so that was that is the end of the show. Thank you for listening.
We hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope you tune in next week.
Thank you. Bye bye.